I'm Martha Green.
I'm Nancy Zimmerman.
Hey, and this is Rob Spalding.
And
we love Lucy.
We don't know how she feels about us, but we love her.
Lucy, bless her heart. How are you?
Hey, doing good.
Doing well.
Hey, guys, this is episode 1 of We Love Lucy. As you might have figured out already, we do love Lucy. And the show is about Lucille Ball and Lucille Ball's impact and the show I Love Lucy and all things Lucille Ball, right?
For a show that was produced in the 50s, and it's still alive today.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody knows who you're talking about when you say Lucy.
Right.
Now, allegedly, it is still being played continuously somewhere in the world, 24 hours a day.
And I would imagine so because it's timeless. It's always going to appeal to
Indeed.
someone.
Indeed.
You know, the clothing may be a little out of date, the apartment furniture may be a little out of date, but the humor, the timing and the humor is just something that it's going to be hard to duplicate.
Yeah.
They have a common human interest. In fact, they've taught like college classes on this. You've got man versus woman, husband and wife, the older
couple, neighbors.
against the younger,
and,
haves, have-nots.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know we were talking before that before we started was that there's always going to be the thematic, like you said, men versus women. We are always going to be coupling and how those couples interact, but that in literature and in previous radio and things like that, it was always, and television, it was always that the older couple was sort of status-wise was higher. They made more money, they had higher status, they were more respected or whatever in their community. And I Love Lucy was the first one where the younger couple actually made more money and was maybe higher status than what the older couple was. And then Nancy, you pointed out.
Then I said, but you got to remember, Fred owned the building.
He owned the building. I was thinking, yeah.
So I don't know how that worked in the psyche, but somehow that's the way that panned out.
And the clothes. I love the clothes.
Oh, I do too.
Ethel wore the coolest dresses. I mean, I know Lucy was the fashion plate, but I loved Ethel's dress. I always liked Ethel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was a foursome that really worked and they played very well off of each other, but they weren't all simpatico off.
No.
Off,
when you knew that William Frawley, and Vivian Vance detested one another.
I know.
I always look to see. Oh, here he's calling her honey bun.
Yeah.
Well, but he said it in a way that I think they sparred enough that was, you didn't get the idea that they were real close anyway.
Right.
Kind of the way my ex-husband used to say. I think.
Right. Well, for people who may not know, that Fred and Ethel were the Mertzes. They were the next door neighbors, and they were their best friends of Ricky and Lucy. And they were played by Vivian Vance and William Frawley. Mm-hmm. William Frawley was a longtime actor. He had well over 100 movies to his credit at that point, even though he was mostly a character actor, and but was well liked and well respected in Hollywood. And Vivian Vance was a stage actress at that time when she was cast. So
and I think there was a fairly interesting story about how they cast her because she wasn't the first choice, maybe, of being chosen for Ethel.
Correct.
Was she?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think Barbara Pepper, who was allegedly Lucy's best friend, and she was a Goldwyn girl with Lucy, was who Lucy wanted in that role. But it ultimately, Jess Oppenheimer, who was the producer, and Desi Arnaz were looking. They had heard about a couple of great actresses. They went to a playhouse to see one actress, and they discovered Vivian Vance and offered her the job that night. She was in a play called The Voice of the Turtle, and they met. They loved her. They thought she was the perfect Ethel, and so at that point they hired her, and then they matched her up with a man who is 20 years older than her, and that was probably in my opinion, it was probably the catalyst of her angst being in that role, playing the wife of someone so much older.
Could have been.
And I think Lucy always had in the contract that Vivian was to weigh 20 pounds more than her.
Could you imagine?
But because you get the idea that Ethel is quite a bit heavier than Lucy. But when you sit there thinking this in your mind and you look at them, and it's like, no.
Yeah.
She isn't.
No, she wasn't.
So it's very much perception. And I think, she wasn't a whole lot older than Lucy, was she?
Not much. Not much.
But she came across as being older because she was married to Fred. And he was, shall we say, curmudgeon.
I think that's the word.
He always reminded me of my old great uncles, and they had this smell about them, and I always thought that it's like old wool that's never been dry cleaned. And I'm thinking, I bet Fred smells like that.
That's funny.
Never thought about that.
I grew up on TV, so I was always related.
Right, yeah.
What was that? There was always that sense of like cigar smoke or whatever that everyone's great.
Because he was always going to the fights with Rick.
Yeah.
Come on, Rick, let's go to the fights.
Yeah. That's great.
I just was running through some of the scenarios from some of the shows, and they really, really were classic scenes that could be replayed in hundreds of homes nightly.
I love the ones when they were in Hollywood. She was always trying to meet a famous person or to be in the show. No, Lucy, you can't be in the show. You got some splaining to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Hollywood ones were. Yeah, I like those. And, when they went to the hour long in Connecticut, when they moved out, those were not, I didn't care for those as much as I did.
Jump the shark.
It just kind of, they had more celebrities on, more guest celebrities. But I think they did that probably because they saw how popular going to California was and putting, Eve Arden, William Holden, John Wayne.
Richard Widmark.
Who was the French actor? Maurice Chevalier.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, then they followed Hollywood
with Europe.
With Europe. And which is where Maurice Chevalier, I guess, he came in that one. Yeah. And that was the again, that was kind of another
the grave stomping.
Stomping. Yeah.
Well, she almost died in that. She was choking.
Yes,
at one point.
I have read that. Yeah. There were three classic episodes, I think, that most people, you mentioned the grape stomping, that's one. The Vitamita Vegemin. Yep. And chocolate.
Oh, the Kramer's Candy Kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first one's called, the Vitamita Vegemin is called Lucy Makes a Commercial. Yeah, Lucy Makes a Commercial. I think it was like episode 39. Those classic ones that we all think so much were kind of like all in season 2. So like the great one where she's locked in the freezer, the vitamin, the one where she is does a commercial, the one where the candy factory, it's was called what, Job Switching or Job Hunting, something like that was the name of that episode. All those were really packed into about 12 episodes, some of the very best. There was a period of time there. And
they were good ones.
Well, they had the same writers throughout the whole show.
Madeline Pugh and I'm trying to think who.
Well, Jess Oppenheimer and
Oppenheimer.
Madeline Pugh and
I forget the other one.
Davis was his name. I'll think of that. You're just doing your Ricky impersonation, and I just found this.
Lucy.
I just found this. Hold on one second.
Lucy, I'm home. Lucy, I'm home.
But that's such a classic. Whenever
we say it at home.
Whenever my kids, I would go home and the kids would be home. I'd go, Lucy, I'm home, because they grew up with I Love Lucy too.
Yeah. Here you go. You were just doing Ricky's laugh.
I've been told I sound like a female Ricky.
You do, tragically so. You do. That is awesome. So you get from that, you get these two actors from two different worlds, and they have to play a couple on there, and they have to get along, and then which came from all the stories about how much they really detested each other.
Well, in the I Love Lucy show itself, Lucy and Ricky were married, but producers or directors or the angels of the time were not sure that the American public would go with Lucy being married to a Cuban.
Right.
So I think they took a year and toured the country and went to lounges and made appearances and did comedy routines together as a couple to see that they would get the kind of acceptance they would need to make a successful show.
Yeah.
So that's...
And originally, they were going to call him Larry Lopez.
That's right.
Yes.
Larry Lopez.
That's awful. That is so contrived. That is terrible. So something doesn't feel right about that. But you're absolutely right. They toured the country and they did a vaudeville act and a stage act. And it turns out there was enough talent between them that they pulled it off, right? They got a pilot. CBS gave them a pilot, and that was widely loved. And we were just talking about this. The first year was 1951, was their first year, and they were third. They finished the season third in the Nielsen's. And then the next 3 years, they were first, easily first, when you, I guess, look at the numbers. And then in episode, season?
1955.
Season 5 or season 6, they were second, and we were just sitting here trying to debate that. So we'll come up at a future episode, figure out who beat them out that year.
Yeah.
Then the following year, they were number one again. But that's pretty fascinating. When you think about it, of course, in this day and age, you don't even consider that, how scandalous, I guess, that may have been, that a Caucasian woman and I guess he's also Caucasian, but a Cuban woman, man.
Hispanic would be Latino, Hispanic now, you know.
And how that would have been so scandalous, but America really embraced it. And I don't think it was ever an issue after it was.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think it's there again, the mystique of the accent and the fact that he was a famous band leader.
Oh, and
I mean, he was
cute.
He was good looking, and I tell you, he aged well too. Looking at pictures of Desi Arnaz in his later years with the silver hair, oh my heavens.
Well, that would be a matter of opinion. He looked a little swollen and unhappy to me, but anyway.
Fred
but
looked like that all the time.
Yeah, matter of fact, he did. You know what, though? They had the best lines, I got to tell you. We'll get into these in future episodes as well. But my favorite line from him, they were going to, Ricky and Fred were going to fix dinner. Remember this? And they were going to make rice. And so Ricky says, "Do you know anything about rice?" And Fred goes, "No, other than it was thrown at me on the worst day of my life."
That was a good episode too.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah, it's great stuff.
That is correct.
So other than these two, there were a lot of like bit actors that came and went, I think. But for the most part, every storyline was really built around those four. And
well, and there were some that were they were reoccurring, but they weren't the same character reoccurring. You know, we've already mentioned Barbara Pepper and how she would be in one as kind of an unnamed person. But then there was the one who played Mr. Merriweather, you know, and he was in different episodes. And then you mentioned, was it Mary Jane? No, Mary.
Yeah, what's her name? Singleton or?
They played Carolyn Appleby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Carolyn Appleby.
Carolyn Appleby.
Yes. And that was a character that carried through for quite some time.
Yeah, she carried through different seasons, different episodes.
Wasn't she sort of Lucy's nemesis
I
in
think,
terms of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were frenemies, was I think what you'd call them in current lingo.
Right. Doris Singleton played Carolyn Appleby. And according to this, she was only in 10 episodes. Does that make sense? It seems like she was in way more episodes than
Well, you know, I have a thing. This is skipping a little bit to something else. But the very key character in Andy Griffith was Ernest T. Bass. He was only in 5 episodes.
Really? And everyone,
5 episodes.
Everyone remembers him so
oh,
well.
yeah.
It's
so
me, it's Ernest T. or whatever that thing was he did.
But I think that's the way Carolyn Appleby, you know, 10 episodes, they were definitely episodes that were memorable enough that you think she was in many more than she actually was.
Well, I think she had that thing where she would sort of sashay into a room, and the whole time she's looking everyone up and down, and with a very
has
judgmental
the white
appeal.
glove for the desk type feel to it.
Exactly.
But, but she was a good character because it gave them someone to play off of besides each other. And I think every once in a while that the people they introduced gave them that freedom so that it didn't get stale.
Right.
And don't forget Mrs. Trumbull.
Oh, yeah.
Nosy
Yeah.
neighbor,
Yeah.
Mrs. Trumbull.
Wasn't she the one that would babysit Ricky or
Uh-huh.
little Ricky
Eventually,
sometimes? Or
yes, eventually she thought, you're not supposed to have children in this building, and you're going to do something about that child. And then the next thing you know,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. That's right. That's another classic episode where she complained about the crying baby the whole time, and then at one point they rush into the apartment, and there she is holding little Ricky.
Yeah.
That's great stuff. You know what? Really simple themes. Really,
How the best TV is.
Yeah.
The best TV is. It's just classic. It's timeless.
Right. Right. And you know what? The odd thing, we were talking about some other other sitcoms and things, and you think a lot of times, I know that Nancy, you like Golden Girls, and I think it's funny as well. But I think one of the things that the Golden Girls, the mistake they made at the time was they were very topical at that time. So they would talk about Reagan, and they would talk about things like that, and it dated it somewhat.
It did, yeah.
Where I Love Lucy was never really dated. There were very few references, I think, to historical characters or current characters for that time. Yes. Yeah. And I think what that made is it gave it so much more longevity.
I'm sure, yeah. I think I have to agree with that. But the humor, a lot of these good shows that we've talked about before we were on air, they have that quality because there are issues and events that happen that are timeless events and situations. You mentioned Lucy getting stuck in the freezer. I mean, that's the kind of thing that could happen to someone yet today. Maybe not quite as easily and not quite as humorously, but it could still happen.
It's all relatable. Everything they do is relatable.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The little jealousy between Lucy and Ethel, and while they're nitpicking and fighting, then Fred and Ricky start to take sides, and now they're mad at each other.
Yeah.
But it's just the human nature.
Right. That reminds me and I know we'll have lots of time to get in a lot of these, but when they were fighting over, one sold the other a washer or something, and just
and
they're up on a balcony fighting over it, and they end up dumping it into the backyard or whatever. And everything it really did have an absurd, many times such absurd endings or plot lines. But when you realize, man, it really does come down to relational stuff. It's 100% just relations.
Yep.
Yeah. And so anyway,
That was always one of my favorites.
let me see if I've got that one.
And I forget how many times she actually did that. It wasn't every episode.
That one? Yeah. So that's great stuff. That was one. It was funny when you read Madeline Pugh's book. Madeline Pugh was one of the writers, and when you read her book, she talked about how how they had a word, like one face was called the spider.
Puddles.
Puddles. Yeah. They had different. And they had different words for different facial or whatever things, and it's really fascinating. So that's great stuff. And when you think about it, that this was 1951, TV was fairly new. Mm-hmm. And they were the first ones to go to a multi-camera system.
Three-camera system, boy, howdy.
Yes. Yeah. And what a difference that made, because everybody else was a single shot, like watching a play. And what they were doing, they had cameras doing close-ups and all that. And as a result, it was revolutionary. And I think that's another reason why it's held up so long.
Well, and you see the way the set were the three-sided sets right next to each other, and then the separate set for the Copacabana.
Right. Yeah. But what's funny was that
Tropicana. I'm thinking of the song Copacabana, but
that's
Tropicana.
Right. Yeah.
But it gave that openness so that the cameras could do that flow.
Right. And boy, it worked. And the picture you kind of circulated around about for us of the and we'll attach it. We'll attach it to the show as well. That's a great picture, an overhead view.
Did I tag you in that on Facebook?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah,
overhead view of the set was fascinating. And what it would make sense is that you'd be able to use multiple cameras and each set while also kind of keeping the flow of the show going, because they really kind of filmed it the Monday before it aired on Friday. Is that right? Was it a Friday or something like that?
I
should remember
I
this.
was going to say I have no idea what night
for
it
that
was.
For that time. It was because they had the foresight to record it and to keep it, because not all of them did. Record them like a movie, and that's how they recorded those, was like a movie. So they would have time to edit it, but they did a very short turnaround. So it wasn't live. It was recorded live, but it wasn't broadcast live, if that makes sense.
Right.
And that allowed them time
like
to.
this.
Yes. So
It's recorded live, but not broadcast live.
Correct. So you can, right. So I think part of that's the results in the quality being so good when you look at it today, and whether it's been edited or not, it's just so good. The quality is so high on it. So even for black and white.
And speaking of to the editing of it, which sometimes I'm sure they forgot lines or Lucy ad-libbed and the others kind of had to adapt. I guess Desi Arnaz had a photographic memory, and he'd read through the script, and it was
he knew everybody's part,
and he knew everybody's part. So
yeah, that's good. It's good to have that guy around.
yeah. Well, and I think Lucille Ball had such a history of cinematic history, movies, and she was already so well known that people maybe discounted his contribution to that duo, because I believe, whenever they started Desilu Studios, that was the first time that I believe a woman had been so involved in a production company.
Right. She was the first. Wasn't she the first president of a major corporation in America?
It may very well
Something
have been.
like that?
That would not surprise me.
Yeah, that's a pretty high testament, I think. That's a pretty amazing testament to go for, because I think at that time, there really was a glass ceiling that pretty much,
Well, and I think too, we discount. We just through the years that his contribution as a businessman and as a comedian, even a band leader, has taken kind of a second place to Lucy.
But as long as she was bringing the cash in.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure he adapted quite well.
That's absolutely true. She was the money, the thing that really created.
He laughed all the way to the bank, all the way.
But you know what? You read the stories about how they could really pull it off on air, but they weren't necessarily that close of a couple, which is kind of sad, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Yeah. But from what I've read of her, when she was away from Lucy and away from the glitz and glamour of Hollywood, even though they lived there, she gardened. They were both very. She didn't hire nannies. They raised their kids. She gardened. She cooked. She did all the things that. Well, cooking. I don't know that I can say that I do that, but she did all the things that we think of as a normal, average person. They both did. So their life was not celebrity status off the screen.
More down to earth.
It was very, very much.
Yeah.
So,
and I think when you read like her biographies and things, the people who knew her said that she had a genuine desire for her children to grow up in a normal home, and really did not encourage them to go into show business. And I think that's proof in the fact that neither one of them could act. So
they really. Do you remember her son though was in a band with Dino, Desi, and Billy.
Yeah.
And Dino was Dean Martin Jr.
Yeah.
And
that's
so
right.
Dino, Desi, and Billy.
Who was Billy? Anybody know who Billy was?
Billy was a friend.
There you go.
It don't mean a thing.
Yeah.
Good. You pulled that off. Just great. I'm going to take your word for that. That was, you said Dino, Desi, and Billy?
Dino, Desi, and Billy
Very
was the
nice.
name of the group.
That's awesome.
And, and then Lucy Jr., she was Lucy Jr., so they both were in one or two seasons
of the
Lucy show whenever Lucy and Vivian Vance were, and Vivian Vance had a son too.
I believe
and I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, in that particular an adaptation that Lucy did. So, they.
Oh, those are the subsequent shows.
The
though,
subsequent
right?
shows,
sure.
Mr. Mooney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gail Gordon.
Well, Gail Gordon was her original choice for the Bill Frawley got for Fred Mertz.
I remember reading that.
And he was doing Armis Brooks with Eve Arden.
Yep. He was good in that too.
Oh yeah,
he was
Mr. Conklin.
Yeah,
was the principal Conklin.
Gail Gordon was good in anything I saw him in.
Right. So one of the shows that one of the things we want to look at tonight as we go forward is we want to play some Lucy on old time radio or just any period of radio, and some of the great things. You know, the prequel, I guess, to I Love Lucy was My Favorite Husband, and she was on that with Richard Denning. And she played essentially the same character. They had the same writers, Madeline Pugh Davis and Jess Oppenheimer, and all those people were on that show as well. They were the writers as well. And the idea was, as many brought their shows over to television, they often brought them over exactly as they were on radio. And the plan for the people, Jello and who owned the show, the idea was to bring it over just as it was with Richard Denning. And she said, "I won't do it without my husband." So she did it with Desi, and then they did the tour and all that, and then they picked it up. But the one thing we're going to do tonight is we're going to play an episode, the first episode of My Favorite Husband. So I guess with that, we're going to. You guys see anything else on this? Because we got lots of weeks ahead.
Nope, we got a lot to talk about.
Absolutely,
a lot of time to do it.
So tonight we're going to do. So tonight we're going to play the first episode of My Favorite Husband. It's from July 5th, 1948. It's Lucille Ball, Richard Denning, and the Cougats' 10th wedding anniversary is the name of the first episode. And what's interesting about the series is that they were called the Cougats, right? We had this conversation the other day.
Xavier Cugat.
They were called the Cougats, right?
Cougats.
But then I think maybe even in the first season, they changed their name to Cooper.
I didn't realize that.
Cooper felt more warm and fuzzy and
Anglican.
And Caucasian.
Yeah.
And,
it was very waspy. Go ahead, say it.
Yeah. So that was the plan, and that's how that unfolded. So what we're going to do tonight, we're going to play the first episode of that. And then we really hope that everyone who's listening will join us and tell their friends. And feel free to kind of reach out to us. Just go to the rowdyradio.com. If you want to reach out to us, there's a link there. We'll create a new email address here in the near future. And people are going to reach out to us, and we'll and be engaged in this. We'd love to have you if you're out there and you love Lucy and you got lots of stuff you want to talk about. We'd love to have you come in as well. So reach out to us. So guys, thank you so much, everyone, for your time tonight, and we'll see you next time.
It's time for My Favorite Husband, starring Lucille Ball.
Yes, it's the new Gay Family series, starring Lucille Ball with Richard Denning as Liz and George Cooper, two people who live together and like it. As we look in on the Cooper household, it's a bright, sunshiny morning. Outside, the birds are singing. And inside, Liz Cooper is singing, too.
Here comes the bride, here comes the bride.
Now, you may think this is an odd song to sing in the morning, but this isn't just any morning. It's the Coopers' 10th wedding anniversary. And just thinking of being married to George for 10 whole years makes Liz feel like singing.
Da, 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 da. Oh, good morning, Katie.
Good morning, Mrs. Cooper. What are you so happy about?
Don't you know what day this is, Katie?
Yes, it's Friday.
No, it's something much more special than that.
Oh, of course. This is the day they collect the garbage.
Oh, Katie. Today is my wedding anniversary. George has been my favorite husband for 10 years.
Oh, Mrs. Cooper, it hasn't been 10 years.
Well, not exactly. It's really been 9 years, 11 months, 29 days, 22 hours, and 45 minutes.
I knew it wasn't 10 years.
Just think, Katie, 10 years ago, I was an eager young bride of 21. And today, I'm an old married woman of 25.
How time flies.
I wonder what George will give me. What is the 10th anniversary, Katie? The 50th is gold and the 25th is silver. Is the 10th diamond or china?
It's tin.
Tin? T-I-N?
That's right, like in C-A-N.
Oh. Well, George probably doesn't know anything about it being tin, so let's not tell him. What he doesn't know won't hurt me.
You'll be lucky if Mr. Cooper remembers it's your anniversary.
Why, Katie, of course he'll remember.
I don't know. Husbands have strange memories. They can't remember the day they were married, but they can tell you Ty Cobb's batting average in 1922.
Well, George is different.
Hey, Liz, where are you?
You watch. The first thing he'll say when I walk into the breakfast room is, "Happy anniversary, darling."
I'll be listening at the door.
Good morning, my wonderful little husband.
Oh, morning, dear. What is it, dear?
Oh, nothing.
Oh, Liz.
Yes, dear?
This coffee is cold.
Well, I'll get some hot for you. George, are you just going to sit there reading the paper? Haven't you something to tell me?
No. Oh, certainly.
I thought so.
Dick Tracy found the jewel.
Get your own coffee.
Hey, what's the matter with you?
Haven't you any idea what this day is?
Sure. Oh, my gosh, this is the day I have to send in my car payment.
George, what was Ty Cobb's batting average in 1922?
385.
Oh, Katie was right.
She was. I didn't think she followed baseball.
Oh, and I thought you loved me.
Oh, well, I do, honey. Hey, what's the matter with you? You're sure acting crazy today.
Well, a girl has a right to act crazy on her anniversary.
Anniversary? It is. I mean, of course it is. Oh, I knew it all the time, dear. I was just teasing.
Oh, you were?
Of course.
Well,
how could I forget our 15th anniversary? Now what's the matter?
it's our 10th.
It is. Well, it seemed like... I mean, it doesn't seem like so much wonderful fun could be crowded into 10 measly years.
Oh, really?
Of course. And if you don't believe I remembered our anniversary, look here in this little memo book of mine. There, what does that say?
It says, buy anniversary present for Liz.
See?
Oh, George, you did remember.
How could I forget the luckiest day of my life? Say, what are you supposed to give on the 10th anniversary anyway?
Don't you know?
No.
Well, then I do.
What is it, the lead, pewter?
No, diamond wristwatches.
I never heard of that.
Well, you wouldn't want to give me just plain old diamonds. They have to be in something. So it might as well be a wristwatch.
Liz, I don't have the money to buy you a diamond wristwatch.
Well, how about just diamonds?
How about just the wristwatch?
Well, okay.
I'll see if I can find a tin one.
Oh, you knew it all the time.
Honey, I'm afraid we'll have to buy each other inexpensive little gifts. We'll put a limit on it.
All right, George. After all, it's the thought that counts. Shall we say $50?
Shall we say $5?
Well, let's compromise. I'll spend $5 for your present, and you spend $50 for mine.
Sorry, spendthrift. $5 is the limit. Hey, it's getting late. I've got to get down to the bank.
Isn't it funny, George? You work at the bank with all that money around, and yet you can only spend $5 for your...
Liz?
Goodbye, George.
Goodbye, Liz. Happy anniversary.
Happy Annie. Katie?
Here I am.
Well, he remembered, didn't he? He had it written down in his book.
I can't argue with that. I guess he remembered all right.
Now, let's see. I have to buy him a present under the $5 limit. Where can I get $5?
I think something's burning in the kitchen.
Katie, come here.
How much do you need, Mrs. Cooper?
Well, I have a little saved. If you'll loan me $4.50, I can make it.
I've only got 2.5.
I'll take it.
But that only makes $3.
Well, it works out. Don't you see? He gives me a $5 present. I give him a $3 tie, and he owes me $2.
Oh?
George, boy, it was mighty good of you to come along and help me choose Iris's birthday present.
Well, I'm glad you asked me, Mr. Atterbury. I have to buy Liz an anniversary present today.
Oh? How long ago was your anniversary?
Today.
Today? How did you remember?
I didn't. I forgot until Liz reminded me this morning. She thinks I remembered, though.
You must be a fast talker, boy.
No, it's simple. I always carry a special memo book. On one page, it says, get Liz's birthday present. The next page says, get Liz's anniversary present. Another one says, get Liz's Valentine present.
That's pretty clever.
Sure. No matter when she jumps on me, I can prove I made a note to do it.
Yeah. Well, Iris just keeps mum. Every day that I've forgotten, she adds $10 to the cost of the present I have to buy her.
Oh, brother. What are you getting her for her birthday?
A mink coat.
Mink?
Her birthday was last fall.
Oh, but mink.
It was either the mink skin or mine. Say, here's the fur department. Pardon me, miss, could you wait on us?
Well, they asked me to stay here until the regular girl gets here. She's late. I never worked in furs before. If you'd like to wait for her.
No, we're in a hurry.
Well, I'll try. I don't know my way around in furs.
We understand.
I know everything there is to know in nightgowns. That's my department.
I believe you. I'd like to see some mink coats.
Mink?
Yes, mink.
Oh, yes, sir. Let me see. Oh, here's a lovely one here. A full length.
Oh, yes, that's very, very nice. How much is it?
Well, let's see. Oh, here's the tag. It's only $3,000.
That's a lot of money.
Why, I should see. That's entirely too much. Let me find you something else.
No, let me see this one, please.
Why, I should say not. $3,000. Why, I wouldn't let you spend that much.
I want to see that.
Let's get something cheaper. How about a nice Hudson seal?
I don't want Hudson seal.
Well, forget about the seal. For that money, you can get a new Hudson.
My wife would look pretty silly wearing a new Hudson. She doesn't have that step-down design. Now, would you mind putting that coat on so we can see how it looks?
Would I mind? There. How do I look?
You look very nice. What do you think, George?
Oh, it's a beautiful coat.
Oh, I've never worn mink before.
Miss, would you stop twirling around, please?
Oh, it feels so natural to be wearing mink. La, 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 la.
Miss.
Oh, I'd love to run barefoot through this. Do you think it looks natural on me?
If it looked any more natural, you'd be a mink.
Oh, I love to run my hands over and hold it close to me.
Look, mink. I mean, miss. If you can tear yourself away from that coat, wrap it up.
Yes, sir.
And send it to Mrs. Rudolph Atterbury, 630 South Lucerne.
Yes, sir.
Before you wrap that up, miss, I'd like to buy a present for my wife, too.
Oh, very well. What did you have in mind?
What do you have for about $5?
How about one of the buttons from this coat?
No, I'm serious. Do you have anything, like a nightgown, maybe?
Well, I have a nice nightgown for about $15.
Well, all right. Size 12.
Oh, I'll bet I know what kind you want. Black, sheer, and lacy.
Yeah. Wrap it as a gift and send it to Mrs. George Cooper, 321 Bundy.
Yes, sir. I'll send both of them this afternoon.
Well, come along, boy. We don't work banker's hours, you know. Oh, that's right, we do.
Oh, Katie, I can't wait. What do you think George will give me for my anniversary?
I don't know, Mrs. Cooper. What can he get for $5?
Yeah, that's right. All I could find for him was a belt.
Well, that's practical.
Well, if he doesn't spend more than $5 on me, I'll really give him a belt. And it won't say Hickok on it either.
Look, Mrs. Cooper, in front of the house, a delivery truck.
Oh, it's my present. I know it is. See, the driver's getting it from the back of the truck. Oh, that's an interesting-looking package he's bringing in. It looks like it could be a dress or a robe. I'll get it.
Package for Mrs. George Cooper.
Oh, thank you.
What is it?
I don't know. It's wrapped so beautifully I can't bear to open it.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I should wait till George comes home. Yes, I'll wait. Well, I'll just take a teensy peek in one corner.
Good. Some peek.
Katie, look!
Mr. Cooper didn't buy that for $5.
Oh, it's the most beautiful one I've ever seen. Oh, Katie, I have the most wonderful, loving, sweetest, the most adorable husband in the whole world. And this is just what I wanted for an anniversary present. My first mink coat.
Liz Cooper has just had the biggest surprise of her life. Right now, Mr. Atterbury is letting George off in front of his house.
Good night, Mr. Atterbury. I hope Iris likes the mink coat.
She will. I hope Liz is satisfied with that nightgown.
Oh, she'll love it. I'll bet she's opened it already. Night.
Good night.
Hey, honey, I'm home.
George, darling.
Hey, what is this?
Oh, you wonderful husband.
I love it, but what's it all about, honey?
Oh, my present came this afternoon.
Well, honey, I'm glad you like it.
Like it? I almost lost my mind over it. But, George, all that money.
Oh, well, so I went a little over the limit.
A little over. Oh, George.
You liked it, huh?
I put it on right away.
No.
Yes, I was so eager to show it off, I wore it down to the market.
You wore it to the market? You mean you wore that to the...
Oh, I know it isn't the thing to wear shopping, but I just couldn't resist.
Didn't people stare at you?
They couldn't keep their eyes off me. Oh, George, you should have seen everybody. That cute little cashier wouldn't let me alone till I took it off and let her try it on. It didn't hurt anything, dear. Now, don't worry. I kept my eye on it all the time.
Oh, that's great. I hope you didn't catch cold.
Cold in this weather? As a matter of fact, on the way home, I was so warm I took it off and carried it over my arm.
I'm losing my mind. Didn't a policeman stop you?
No.
Well, didn't anybody notice the crowd that was following you?
Well, why should a crowd follow me just because I was carrying my new mink coat?
Liz, when you walked out... Your new mink coat?
Well, of course. And George is just perfect. The skins are beautifully matched, and the style is just what I would have picked out for myself.
Oh.
George, you look pale. You'd better sit down.
Oh.
Well, you could have waited till I got you a chair. What's the matter, George?
Liz, there's something I've got to explain.
Now, don't worry, darling. I'm not going to scold you for going over the price limit. It's all right. I saved $2 on your present.
Oh, but Liz...
Oh, George, how did you know that all my life I've wanted a mink coat? I've dreamed about them at night, but I never thought I'd own one.
But, Liz...
Are you trying to say something, you dear, sweet, wonderful, generous, thoughtful, marvelous husband, you?
Yes, Happy anniversary, dear.
Happy anniversary to you, too, darling. I'll get it.
No, let me get it, dear. I have a feeling it's for me.
All right, I'll put the coat on and model it for you.
Hello?
Hello, George, boy. Have you given Liz her present yet?
Yes, Mr. Atterbury.
And you know the store got the packages mixed up, eh, boy?
Yes, sir. Was Iris mad when she got the nightgown?
Boy. Not only is she furious that she didn't get the mink coat, but she's not the black lace nightgown type. She's a long flannel girl.
Well, wait till I tell you what happened here.
Look, I'm calling from the drugstore. Iris locked me out of the house. Now, how soon can you get that coat down here?
Well, I've been trying to tell you, Mr. Atterbury. Liz thinks the coat is her anniversary present.
What?
Oh, you should see the look on her face. I don't have the heart to tell her.
I'd like to see the look on her face when you tell her you're fired if you don't get that coat down here.
Oh, I'll tell her, but can't I have a little time to sort of break it to her gently?
Certainly, George. Take all the time you want.
Oh.
As long as you have it down here in 10 minutes. Goodbye.
Oh.
Where are you, dear? Oh, well, how do you like your wife in a mink coat? Pretty, huh?
Oh, no. They didn't send that one, did they?
Why? What do you mean?
Oh, that isn't the one I bought. I wouldn't have you seen in that cheap old thing. Oh, come on, take it off. I'll send it back.
Well, George, you're the luckiest man in the world because I like this one. Think of all the money you'll save.
Yeah.
Let's go someplace. I want to show the coat off. I know. Let's go call on the Atterbury.
Oh, no.
Why not?
Well, it isn't insured. It isn't safe to wear it out.
Oh, well, then I'll call up and invite them over here.
No. Let's just spend a quiet evening at home, dear.
Oh, I don't want to stay home.
I'll get it.
I wonder how my new hat would look with this coat.
Yes, Mr. Atterbury?
Where are you, boy?
You haven't given me any time. But besides, she won't take the darn thing off.
Well, make her take it off. Turn the heat up. Hit her over the head. Chloroform her. I don't care
wait a minute. That turning the heat up might do it. I'll put it up to 110 degrees. You just wait there. You'll have your coat.
Wait here, nothing. I'm coming to your house.
Now, please.
I'll stand under the dining room window. If you don't hand that coat out to me in 15 minutes, I'll come in and tell Liz the truth.
I'll have it, Mr. Atterbury. I'll turn the heat up right now. Liz, where are you?
Here I am, darling.
What are you doing? And why is every light on in the house?
Oh, I was just going around seeing if my new coat went with each room. It clashes with the dining room, George.
Well, let me change it for you.
All right. Gray wallpaper would be nice.
Aren't you a little warm, Liz?
No, I'm just comfortable.
Well, I guess it takes a while.
What does?
Nothing. Why don't you go to bed, Liz?
Oh, I couldn't go to bed. The coat would get all crushed.
Well, you don't have to wear it to bed, you know.
I wonder if I could hang myself on a hanger and sleep in my coat all night.
Liz, are you sure you aren't warm? I'm stifling. Phew.
I guess it is a little warm, George. Look at the windows. They're all steamed up.
Yeah, I don't know how you can stand it.
Oh, I'm so happy with my little mink, I can't feel anything. Oh, how do you do, Mrs. Astorville? Reggie, darling, how are you? Oh, what was that? Sounds like someone throwing pebbles at the window.
Oh, you're hearing things.
No, George, there's someone outside. Oh, they want to steal my coat, and it's not insured.
Don't worry. I'll see who it is.
Wait a minute. Are you insured?
Yes.
Well, go ahead then.
What? Don't worry. Nobody's going to steal anything while I'm in this house. Mr. Atterbury, where are you?
Over here in the bushes. Don't you recognize me? I'm wearing a hibiscus over one ear. Now, give me the coat.
I don't have it yet.
Oh, you idiot. Oh, you idiot. I'm going in and tell her.
No. She thinks there's a prowler out here. Now, I'll get her to give me the coat for safekeeping. You must stay right there.
Hurry up. I've been here so long now, some ivy's growing up my left leg. I'll hurry.
Did you see anyone, George?
Not a soul, dear.
Well, I'm sure there was somebody there.
Liz, if there is someone there, they're after the coat.
Oh.
Now, you'd better let me take it and lock it in the closet until morning.
Well, all right, dear. Here you are. Good night, little mink.
Ah, thank you. Hey, what's that?
Boy, that was fast action.
Huh? Well, what are you talking about?
The police, while you were outside, I called and told them there was a prowler in our garden, and they've got him.
Oh, no.
Don't get excited, George. We're safe now. They're taking him off to jail.
Oh, hello, Mrs. Cooper.
Is George home yet, Katie?
No, he called a few times, so.
Well, I'm glad he isn't here. Katie, I felt awful about George buying me that beautiful coat when I had practically nothing for him, so, well, I made a compromise, and I bought him a wonderful present.
Liz!
Oh, George, I've been waiting for you.
Liz, I have no time to waste. I have to tell you something.
Not until I give you your anniversary present, dear. It's a day late, but I think you'll like it. Here.
Why, Liz, that's the most beautiful watch I've ever seen.
It's platinum, George. And it tells everything. The hour, the minute, the second, the day, the year, and the phases of the moon.
Oh, Liz, honey. Oh, gee, it makes me feel like a heel to tell you this now, but, well, that mink coat doesn't belong to you.
What?
Well, Mr. Atterbury bought it for Iris, and I bought you a black lace nightgown, and the clerk got the packages mixed up. There, I said it.
Oh!
Oh, I'm sorry, honey, but where's the coat?
Oh!
Well, what's the matter?
I haven't got it.
You haven't got it. Well, where is it?
I'd exchange it for a mink jacket and bought your watch with a difference.
My Favorite Husband has been presented through the worldwide facilities of the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
And that was My Favorite Husband. The Cougars celebrate their 10th wedding anniversary from July 5th, 1948.
And on behalf of all of us here in the studio, I'm Nancy Zimmerman.
I'm Martha Green.
And Rob Spaulding.
Our benevolent benefactor and dictator.
Yeah. And hope you can tune in again next week as we have another episode on tap for you.
We love Lucy.
Yeah, we do.